What's going on, y'all? So we are back for another movie corner, and as you can see, girl, I'm ready for bed. I said, let me go ahead and do this before I keep putting it off. Oh my god, I gotta go to work in the morning. So yeah, and I just got through watching it again, and girl, I know what you did last summer, 2025. Y'all know once I started this movie corner situation, I believe this was one of the earlier movies, especially because of Halloween is coming up, and I just wanted to do it, right? I like the spooky. Oh my God, I don't care what nobody say, baby. We in spooky season, okay? Listen, it's the 19th/20th, all right? Depending on, well, it'll be the 20th in 15 minutes. So therefore, we are officially in spooky season. Who cares what anybody says? Let's get this. And y'all know this is one of my favorite seasons. I love horror movies. I love the spookiness about it. Um, I love the fall actually. So there's that. And I Know What You Did Last Summer is one of those movies. Like I told you guys, I love a good franchise, okay? I love all the Scream movies. I do like the Freddy movies, the Michael Myers movies. I even like I said the Freddy movies. What is the other one? I like the Final Destination movies. And I Know What You Did Last Summer is one of those movies that I can actually go back and watch all the time. And so I was very much hyped. I was hyped for this movie to come out. Was not too sold on the fact that they was calling it still I Know What You Did Last Summer. I just want everybody to know that that third one that was in the sequence or in the franchise, that was not part of this franchise. That was like, how you have a movie and then somebody do an unofficial, like, what is it? An unofficial, sequel or prequel to it or whatever. That's literally what it was. It wasn't affiliated with this show, but or I should say this franchise, because it was trash. I seen that one time, and when I say it made absolutely no sense, because they brought in supernatural elements to it, and I was like, wait a minute, what? At least where I know, and this is how you know when you shouldn't be doing stuff and people don't know what they doing, when you got to make something that seems so real and so plausible. Like you can see somebody going around, committing, unaliving people in a slicker in a fisherman town. You know what I'm saying? You can see that happening. You know what I'm saying? You can see somebody playing games and dressing up as a ghost face and just going around randomly doing, unaliving people and all that stuff. You can see that happen. People are weird. But to bring a supernatural bring supernatural aspect to it, like what is the purpose? What is the point? That was just dumb. You just made it just so unrealistic, more unrealistic than it probably already was, right? So we get into this, and let's give a little backstory first. We get I Know What You Did Last Summer. That came out. Let me see, when did it come out? I Know What You Did Last Summer came out in 1996 or 97, I believe. And then I Know What You Did Last Summer, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, came out in 1998. And then I Always Know What You See. Let me tell you something. That's why I don't like the third one too. Because the third one came out unofficially and it took a title that this one could have did. This one could have been I Always Know What You Did Last Summer. But then if they would have kept it at that title, and it would have been the official third part to the series, the franchise, that they should have brought it out a little bit earlier than 2025. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, what is that? Okay, no. But anyway, so and I Know What You Did Last Summer. You got these group of kids, Barry, Julie James, Helen, what is his name? Ray. We gonna throw Max up in there too, cause he got caught up in the fray. Basically, they're getting ready to go to college. It's their last, hoorah. And then they having a good time, get drunk, driving in the car, wind up hitting this guy. Okay, they thought the guy was dead. He wasn't dead. They threw him in the water. All right, cool. And then everybody just started, a year later, they started getting notes and stuff saying, I know what you did last summer. All right. And things just start mysteriously happening because this person just stopped. Girl, and let me tell you something. After all of this stuff, all the times I looked at, I know what you did last summer. It took until recently that I picked up on the fact that when the movie first started off, the original one, you saw the dude that was sitting out there. I think his name was On or something like that. I don't know. But either way, you saw him sitting out there on the cliff, right? And that's the one that they thought was the killer, but it wasn't. And what is this? Why does this keep popping up? You saw him charging case. Okay, don't allow. You saw him sitting out there on the cliff. It really didn't hit me until recently, which I don't understand why. Like, sometimes you will look at something so much and then you still probably miss the real, like, simplest shit that's right there in your face. I did not realize until recently that dude got killed by the killer in I Know What You Did Last Summer because he was out there on that cliff because he felt guilty about his girlfriend dying. He felt guilty about the fact that people was blaming him for her death. You know what I'm saying? And her father, Susie's father, just couldn't get over the fact that his baby wasn't here no more, and he blamed him, and so he killed him. Okay, he took him out, right? Didn't realize that. I was like, why didn't I see all of this? And mind you, it's right there, and they said that. When they coming together and they realized that the person that wasn't the killer, the person that they thought was the killer wasn't the killer, and they come together, I was like, oh my God, why didn't I realize that? Sometimes you have a little slow moment, and I had a big slow moment. There's that. But anyway, so yeah, he wound up picking everybody off one by one. The first person to go was, I think Max, and then you got... Barry at one point left. Helen got killed next, and then you had Ray and Julie. They were the survivors. What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for? Now let me tell you something. I will say this. Oh, I Know What You Did Last Summer. They did do some good jobs, especially when it came to them trying to play games with the minds, because that one scene when Julie was going over there to Helen's house to comfort her and see what happened after Helen woke up and her head was chopped up because dude had got up into the house, right? Baby, that is a fear, bitch. Okay, that is a fear to have in your own home. Like, you are in your house, not an apartment, okay? Your house, and somebody pops up in that bitch while you sleep. That is a fear of mine, all right? Listen, okay? And she woke up and her hair was chopped up, and she prized herself on that hair and all of that because she was the beauty queen and all that. Okay, cool. And so when Julie showed up and she was driving to her house, and then she had some stuff in the trunk, and she opened up the trunk and she see Max up in the trunk with a whole bunch of crabs and he dead. And then when she go get help and she come back and get Barry in there, the trunk is clean. Okay, I to this day don't know how they did that. And how did Ben old ass get to do all of that so quick? He had to have had an accomplice. And we saw in the second one that his son was his accomplice. But at the same time, it was like, how did he get all this done? Was the son an accomplice then too? That's what I really want to know. Okay. And then I got a couple of more things. Max was a creep. I'm going to tell you why. Max was one of those casualties, he just a casualty of the whole situation. Collateral damage, okay? He's one of the randoms that didn't have nothing to do with it, but he just wound up getting taken out, because he just has to get taken out, right? Okay, cool. But he had such a thing for Julie, it kind of irked me the way that he was going about it, basically trying to make her go out on a date with him because they know, and then use that excuse. I mean, we've known each other for so long. Okay, we've known each other for so long. And within that time of me knowing you, did I ever give you any type of hint or clue or feeling that I was interested in you in other ways than friendship? No. Mind you, she had a boyfriend, and each and every time he kept trying to get with her, and it came off real creepy. So I ain't feel no way about him, getting taken out. Okay. Also, when that whole situation happened when they killed when they threw the men in the water and they made that pact, don't talk about it, we take it to our grave. And then Julie was just like, fine, we'll take it to our grave. And then, Barry didn't like the way that her attitude was, and he wound up damn near choking her out. If you ever saw Scary Movie and you saw that part when dude was just choking out Anna Faris character, Cindy, just choking her out real bad. He practically was doing that up in I Know What You Did Last Summer, right? And I, for the life of me, was like, Ray, you are such a weak person. And in that moment, I'm pretty sure that's when Julie said, listen, I don't want nothing to do with Ray at this moment because, for one, you didn't stand up for me. You let this man, regardless of the fact that he's our friend, you let him put his hands on me and you didn't do anything. He literally didn't do anything. And I get it at the fact that you feel like you less than them because they got more money and you got more to lose or whatever, because they'll just throw you in jail over him because, okay. Because they got money and all that stuff or whatever. You ain't got nothing. You can't get no lawyer and all that. Ray was such a weak character, if you ask me. And if you go back and you look at it, he can't act, first of all. Out of everybody, he probably was the weakest of the friend group, okay? Yeah, I know. It really did happen like that. Julie, you gotta just go ahead and go with it. That's how they had him acting in the first. I said, why didn't I notice they had him acting like this? Just so stupid. Oh, and I see why Julie said, deuces, we don't have nothing. Okay. And for a year they didn't talk and then they come back and you got all this stuff. I know what you did, or I still know what you did last summer, comes out 2 years later. Or a year later or so, like that, whatever. And then they go through the whole process of Julie then went to another college. Julie has a new roommate, Carla, played by Brandy Norwood. Have y'all heard that? First of all, Kaylani, you did your big one with this Folded song, okay? Now, at first I was like, I don't get it. It's cute or whatever. Why is everybody just... But baby, listen, it is that thing. It's that girl, okay? That is that girl. But did y'all hear Brandy? Oh. And I think they in the process of releasing it on the on iTunes, the remix with Brandy singing on it. Bitch, Brandy killed that, okay? Listen, you can say, I can say all I want about Brandy, but bitch, that voice and whatever she did to that song, she did that shit. But bitch, that's neither here nor there. I just had to put that out there, okay? Because I literally just heard that like either the other day. Oh my God. But anyway, so you got that, and oh, the Boy Is Mine tour is starting. Oh my God, it's coming up. I'll be there in a month, literally. I'll be there October 18th. I cannot wait. Anyway, so you got that right. She, her roommate, they get this trip to go to Brazil. Well, not to Brazil, to Bahamas. They asked the question, what's the capital of Brazil? And they said Rio de Janeiro. And that is not it. And they went on ahead and, I ain't like the way Carla was pushing Ben, the roommate or the other classmate, onto Julie. It was just like he was the max character of that show, of that particular movie, right? Because he could take the hint that Julie didn't like him like that, just friends. And then Carla was pushing him on her, and it was just a mess, okay? He wound up being one of the killers, and he wound up being Ben Willis, who was the killer in I Know What You Did Last Summer. And in this one, friend, daddy, right? Okay, cool. They took them out. Sure. Next thing you know, we know that Julie and, Ray, because he did come through in the clutch, they wind up being together. Now we get to I Know What You Did Last Summer, 2025. It's like, okay, so I still in the shooting from coming out in 1998. 2025 minus 1998. That's 27 years ago. Okay, that's almost 30 years ago. So 30 years later, damn near. Okay, you get a new set of kids. I really wished if they wanted to they should have. I Know What You Did Last Summer could have been a franchise just like Scream. It could have been up there to a certain extent, right? It could have been. And we can't say, well, how many times a Slicker Man gonna come? Because look how many movies is there of Michael Myers? Michael Myers been chasing Laurie Strode around for how long? Exactly, multiple movies. Okay, it could have been something on that level, right? But they waited too long, honestly. So now they had to get new people, new cast, and they did bring back two of the main characters, which were, Ray and Julie. But in this one, you have a whole new crop. You got Ava, you have Danica, Teddy, Milo, and Stevie, right? So Danica and Teddy, they're going together. Everybody is coming back together to Southport, the same little state, or I should say city, that the original was at in South Carolina, I believe, is in the South. Okay, and they're coming together because Danica and Teddy are celebrating, and it's their engagement party, right? They're about to get married. Either it's their engagement party or, you know, yeah, it was their engagement party. So they're about to get married. You got Ava, she's there. She was a little bit worried about meeting up and seeing her ex, who is Milo. Okay. High school sweethearts and all of that stuff. Then, you get there, everybody's connecting. They wind up seeing Stevie. Stevie is like the Ray character from the original movie, meaning she's not like them. She doesn't come from money. And if she did, no, actually, she did have a little bit of money. But see, the daddy ran off, took the money, either gambled the money away or stole her money, the family money, and then ran off and left them penniless. So that just basically made everybody in the town just look at them funny and probably make fun of them or whatever, pity them and all that. And it caused, Stevie to go into a spiral. She wound up, I guess, on some type of substance because she did say she went to rehab. And it also broke up the friendship between her and the rest of the group. She wound up doing work at a bar, and we later find out that the bar is owned by Ray. Okay, cool. That's how he figures into the movie, right? And so they see her because Ray was the company, his bar was, bringing over, providing like the alcohol or whatever to the engagement party, and she was the one, taking the stuff back and all that. And so they saw her, and they was like, let's get together for old time's sakes and all that stuff. Okay. She was also there with this other girl, right? I think her name was Hannah. And the way that they kind of set that shit up, I honestly thought Hannah was going to be the one that was going to be the killer or had something to do with it. And then they brought her back one more time. And then I also thought at that same time, too, that she had to have had something to do with it. But she didn't. Okay. So they all get back together. They all have this one fun night out. And everybody's drinking. And you got Teddy. He's so high strung. And, the dude that played Teddy, he plays the main character in the new movie, Him. And just to let y'all know, that is not a Jordan Peele movie. Okay. Because I've heard mixed reviews. And he's just a producer on it. That is not a Jordan Peele production, or I should say, come from his mind. All right. People been trying to clear that up, like no. But yeah, he is just very high strung, and he gets out, and I think he was, either smoking or drinking. He has a drinking problem. He winds up getting out the car. First of all, they're driving, and he winds up making it seem like it was about to be in a car accident so that they can hit the brakes real quick. And so that's one, being goofy like that. Don't play with me, okay? Do not play with my nerves like that. Then he gets out the car, and he's playing chicken in the goddamn road, okay? He letting the, standing there trying to wait until the car come before he jumps out of the way, right? So he can almost cause an accident. Then he steps into the road again, and it happens on accident, and then his car literally goes through the railing, and he is hanging over the cliff. Mind you, I think the cliff is called Reaper's Cliff or something like that, or Reaper's Road. And they're trying to help, but they can't help because the car eventually just falls over into the water, crashes, and the person unfortunately passes away, right? So now we get the basis of what happened that's going to start haunting him for a whole year. So you have one person, Ava, who is really like, we have to get the cops. We have to tell somebody. And everybody else is like, especially Teddy, no, because this is manslaughter. They was like, no, this is manslaughter. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't like he was trying to swerve or whatever. We literally caused this. So therefore, we can get in trouble, especially Teddy. Mind you, Teddy's father is like the head real estate developer, probably like the main head in the city, that in that particular town that everybody listens to. And I just want to understand how he get all that power, because even the police, they basically do what he says, okay? And so they come to the conclusion that we'll just let the cops get the body and we won't tell him nothing. Teddy will let his daddy know to clear that shit up. And they all agree, but everybody is like, to a certain extent, like, we need to tell somebody. Mostly like Ava and Stevie. And then they eventually was like, okay, let's get in the car. They thinking that, because Danica was driving. Ava just went along with it after protesting the most, because she thought that Danica was about to drive them to the police station. No, she didn't. And then they come to a point where they're just like, okay, fuck it, we're not going to say nothing. Ava had to just go ahead and say that, and then she walks away. All right. Mind you, keep in mind, everybody agreed. All right. Everybody agreed. And some with very minimal protests, okay? So then it's 1 year later, we're coming back down to Southport. We see that Ava has come back into town. She flew back in from wherever she was. She's in the bathroom. And listen, I'm all here for a good sex scene in a movie. I'm all here for a good representation of LGBT and everybody else. But y'all probably never thought that you would hear me say this. That bathroom scene with Ava and old girl Tyler, the podcaster, that she just randomly saw on a plane and hooked up with in an airport bathroom. First of all, that's nasty as hell. That is nasty as hell. An airport bathroom? Get out of here. A stranger? I cannot do no stuff like that. Oh my God. Like, what? It was the most cringiest sex scene, or whatever you want to, hookup scene that you want to call it. Girl on girl. I was like, who is directing this? And you want to know what it was for me? It was Ava, the girl that played Ava. You could tell that she don't have no dalliance with girl on girl stuff. You could tell that she is a strictly heterosexual, and if she's not heterosexual, and y'all tell me otherwise, baby, I'm surprised, because the way that she played that scene out, and I get it, it's a little bit harder to do sex scenes with, on camera with all the people looking and all that stuff. But bitch, the way I said, is this how you look when you about to come, or when you in the throes of it? It was unconvincing. I said, girl, you look like you're in pain. You don't look like you're enjoying it. Even when she told her harder, when you roll your eyes in the back of your head when that spot get hit. I was like, oh my God, why you look like that? I said, y'all could have scrapped this. It made no sense. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, they was setting it up so that Tyler can come to Southport, because Tyler has this podcast, that talks about different, murder scenes and murder events that happen. And now she's in Southport talking about the whole Southport killings that happened in 97 with Julie and them, and the slasher, you know what I'm saying, the fisherman slasher, right? Okay, cool. And so she gets a rise with Ava and Milo. Bitch, the reason why they back there is because Danica is getting married again. Listen, I said this don't make sense. Danica, you move way too fast for me. So apparently, after all of that stuff went down with the whole person dying and all that stuff, and they covering it up, Teddy and Danica broke up, okay? Probably because Teddy couldn't deal with the fact of what they did. Okay, cool. Everybody copes with whichever way they can, right? But Danica went on ahead and got her a new man, and now they about to get married literally 1 year later. What? And so everybody's there, and now we got Stevie. She's into the fold, real tough with Danica like this. And I was like, huh? Oh, okay, she's there. Ain't nobody else there. Everybody else had to she's not talking to Teddy anymore, so I guess Stevie was the next person. Ava's not there no more. Milo never lived there. Well, didn't come back to stay. He just came back for the party or whatever. And so I guess they became cool. And so at this point, they're going over the gifts and stuff like that. And that's when she picks up this card and it says, I know what you did last summer. She's like, cut the films. Let's go in the back and let's talk. They trying to figure out what the hell and who sent it. They thinking that Teddy did it. They go visit Teddy on his boat. Teddy is a mess. Teddy is a goddamn mess, okay? But Teddy didn't do it. Teddy said, bitch, why are y'all bringing this shit to me? It was written to Danica, so what the hell they got to do with me? Keep me up out of it. And on the one hand, I would have said the same thing. But on the second hand, Teddy, it's your fault. It's you and Danica's fault, okay? It's your fault for playing in the goddamn street that the accident happened. And it's Danica's fault and yours because y'all did not go to the goddamn police station. She kept on driving to your house, right? Okay, cool. So then we get that. They trying to figure it out. Who wound up... Then the first killing that we see, Wyatt, who is Danica's boyfriend slash fiance, who is also an alcoholic, he winds up getting speared through the chest. Okay, well, through the midsection right here, right? He wind up getting speared through there and killed in the living room while Danica is in the tub with her headphones on and she can't hear because they're sound noise isolating headphones, and she's meditated and all that stuff in the tub. She comes downstairs and she see her baby right there in front of the fireplace just propped up. Okay, so we get that. That's the first kill. Then we get they trying to figure out what's going on. The next people, they thought it was like Tyler, the podcaster, could be, the person. So Ava meets up with her and she takes her to the old Bayside place. Bayside was the place where Helen and her sister Elsa, their father's place where they was working at. And let me tell you something. I ain't feel no ways when Elsa died and I Know What You Did Last Summer, because I ain't understand why Elsa was such a bitch to Helen like that. Every time she came onto the scene and she was talking to Helen, she was either coming for her looks, coming for her hair, coming for everything, and just being just real nasty. You the older sister, and what's your problem? Because ain't nobody tell you to stay up in goddamn Southport. Ain't nobody tell you not to have dreaming ambitions. Like, she literally was coming at her throat and making her feel bad for wanting to go and be an actress and leave the town and go to New York, and then making fun of her the fact that she failed at it. Okay, sometimes you gotta fail to get back up. And you gotta try again and not just stay. You know what I'm saying? She young enough, she could have kept on going. I said, Elsa, you are a bitch. And when that scene when she was running, trying to get her to open up the door, and Elsa took forever to open up the door, bitch, your sister about to die. I was okay with Elsa died up in there. I really was. Like, girl, you was trifling. Meanwhile, that's where they was at, okay? Exploring it, and next thing you know, the killer come through. Mind you, Ava had sent a text to the peoples and was like, come on down here, because I think that Tyler is a little sketchy. Because Tyler was talking all about the killings and stuff that happened or whatever. And bitch, girl, Ava got trapped in a trap, literally like a goddamn mouse. Okay, she couldn't get out. All right. Tyler getting chased around and she wound up getting killed. Okay, mind you, Ava sees all this. Stevie comes in and help get her out. Right? Okay, cool. The police don't say what's going on, right? They're very vague, Then they do a town hall meeting to bring everybody together, right? And talk to the towns about all of this stuff, because the way that Tyler was killed, they put her body outside to make it look like, basically they hung her, She was hanging outside. And so you have Ted's dad basically saying that they got information from her parents and found out that she stopped recently taking her psychiatric meds, and, she was a troubled young woman, and then she took her own life. That wasn't the case. The fact that you're trying to peddle that when you have a person that was actually there with her who saw everything, how are you going to put that out there like that? I get trying to do a cover up, but do a cover up that makes sense that probably could have worked if there wasn't a person that was there that actually saw what happened, right? And then they're trying to tell them like somebody else just got killed before this, like literally got killed before this, okay? And then you trying to say, don't, no, this somebody in a slicker did this shit to me, you know? And they're trying to say that ain't what it is. And then here come Ray saying this has happened before. You're trying to cover it up, and basically Ted's dad had the internet wiped of everything that went down in Southport in 1997 with the killings and all that stuff, because it was bringing down the real estate value. It was bringing down the attraction to people to come and actually visit or even live in Southport to bring up the economy. So let's take this away so that we can make it good and build these buildings and condominiums and all of this stuff to attract people to come for a positive reason and not for negative. On the one hand, I get it, but on the other, like, listen, it's in this day and age, you can't hide that stuff. You can't hide that stuff. Look at what happened with Lake Lanier. Yeah, baby, they tried to hide Oscarville. Baby, we know all about that. We know all about that. So, like, go ahead and just keep it the way that it is, right? And so, of course, they trying to come at Ray. Ava wound up finding Julie. She working as a professor in a university, and Julie said, well, shit, bitch, the only thing that I need to ask, if you got people coming after you, what did y'all do last summer? I was like, girl, it was so corny. It was so corny. So at one point they thought it was the pastor. They go over there to him, and the pastor was a goddamn creep, if you ask me. The way that he was looking at Ava, the way that he touched her couple of times, yeah, and he just so happened to be cool and have a picture of him and the victim that got killed. His name was Sam Cooper. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, well, damn, did the pastor do it? And Hannah was there. So I was also like, oh, yeah, so I'm on the right track. Them two probably were the killers, or at least Hannah is, you know? So at this point, Teddy and Danica went to the graveyard to see, I don't know, the graves. We saw Barry's grave. We saw Helen's grave. We saw Elsa's. Also, we saw Sam Cooper's grave, and we saw that it was a fresh bouquet of flowers that was there. They asked the janitor at the graveyard to go back and look and see who came. And right when he was about to look at the cameras and all that stuff, somebody came and took him out, right? Then they came and started chasing after Danica and wound up in the whole place where Helen had her little Croaker Queen pageant at. Yeah, and of course, Teddy to the rescue came and fought him off and, saved Danica. Now they're all at Danica's place, and everybody's sleeping there, and you got Milo and Ava and they wind up about to do the do, okay? And in the midst of them about to do the do, Ava said, give it to me rough. And Milo stopped and was like, bitch, what? You know what? Give me a second, and walked out. Huh? You're not used to that? Like, Milo, you was giving very much, I'm vanilla in sex. That's just really what I'm vanilla. Because you had to go out there and be like, oh my God, okay, she said, give it to her rough. You can do this. You can do this. And you wind up getting yourself killed. Okay? And then the next person to get killed was Ted. He wound up getting killed right in front of his daddy's house. Okay? And the daddy tried to come out there eventually. And I was like, see, this is all your fault, to be quite honest, covering the shit up. And you trying to put it out there like ain't nothing happened. And now your own son is a victim of this shit. And you became a victim. Now, I'm going to say this. The person, which I already know who killed him because it took a lot of strength to do so, right? But when they took the daddy out, that scene took a little bit too long. That killing took a little bit too long, okay? And all of that sound and everything. I was like, damn, can you hurry it up? It felt like it went on for eternity before the hook actually went all the way through. I was like, shit. Okay, put it in there, take it out. Okay, hang him up. Bitch, they hung him outside. They hung him outside on the docks for everybody to see. Mind you, Danica and Ava had went to the police station to go and tell them that they think that it's Pastor Judah that did the whole thing. They didn't had them locked up in the goddamn interrogation room so that For what reason? And then they only let them out when they realized that, oh yeah, we got a problem on our hands, and oh boy, Teddy and his daddy is dead, right? Now in the midst of this, while they was in the interrogation room, Danica did have a little dream, and she was talking to Helen. You know, what's her name? Sarah Michelle Gellar, Prince. Listen, I'm gonna say this: when Freddie Prinze Jr. came up on this show, on this movie, I said, God damn, bitch, what's going on? And then I seen Sarah Michelle Gellar on here. I said, God damn, bitch, is you sucking his life force out of him? Because Sarah Michelle Gellar look good as shit, okay? And this is for a white woman, no shade, because sometimes, you get it, but she look good as shit. I said, bitch, are you Asian or not? She said, I don't know. I don't know. It's up to you. Do it look like it? I said, no, it don't. No, it don't. But Freddie Prinze Jr., because y'all know they married in real life and they been married forever and a day. Bitch, he look old as shit. He look old as shit. I said, God damn, Freddie, what's going on? What's going on? What is happening, Freddie? Your wife is looking good. I said, oh, wow. You know, she just had a little vision and all that stuff. Okay, that was just a way to bring her back. And then we also found out, you know, because Ray went over there to Julie's house to confront her because, you know, he realized that Julie is a part of this now because Julie was talking to Ava because Ava reached out to Julie and basically was trying to cuss her out. Now, here's the thing that they never made clear. They never made clear. Julie and Ray, they were married, but they're now divorced, and they've been divorced for some time, and they hate each other to the point that they wish they never got married to each other. And the way that Ray talked so negatively about Julie, but we never found out what happened. It made no sense for them to go from how they were, and I know what you did last summer, to I still know what you did last summer, to now can't stand in each other's guts. And more so, Ray is the one that really had the vitriol about it. And I was just like, what? I want my stories to be developed. Give me all the details so I can fully understand and get the full picture. Okay? Don't leave me hanging and having to put things together by my own imagination. Okay? Like, why do they hate each other? Or at least, why do Ray hate her so much? Like, it was just really weird. Okay? That part they did not explain. He didn't really want her involved, and we realized that he didn't want her involved because he was involved in this whole situation. Eventually, we find out after Teddy get killed, they get on the boat, Teddy's boat, trying to get away. Stevie was with them. Stevie is the killer. She's one of the killers, right? And this whole thing didn't make sense to me, too, when it came to Stevie being the killer because of the simple fact that the person that died was Sam Cooper. This was a person that she was close to, you know, met through the programs with Pastor Judah. We saw a picture of them on Judah's bulletin board and all that stuff. Mind you, Stevie went and killed him. Stevie killed the pastor too. Okay? Killed him. And truth be told, Stevie, you should feel some type of way because the only reason you the one that if you wanted to take somebody out, you probably should have took yourself out. And I don't advocate for this, but listen, Sam left that day and took the pastor car to come get her because he thought that she was about to relapse or something like that. And so that's why he was on the road trying to find her, you know, and then he lost his life. Now, had he not thought your ass was about to relapse or was going through some shit, he could have just stayed in the crib and he would still be alive. That's just really what it was. But see, this is what don't make sense about it to me. You getting upset at them for causing the death of your boo. Okay, cool. The one person that really gave a damn about you. I get it. All right. But then you didn't know that was your boo at the time. And you was one of the ones that was like, we need to get the hell up out of here. Ava was the main one that was saying, we need to go to the police and tell them what happened. It didn't take much convincing to tell you absolutely for you to say no. But now that you found out that it was your boo, now you want to feel some type of way and you want to take people out. Like, that just didn't make sense. I understand. But at the same time, it's like, Well, you didn't go to the police station either, and you had all the opportunity to go to the police station and turn them in, but you wanted to take them out. Like, it just, and then you all up in Danica's house and being besties with her, and it just was stupid. It was stupid. And then the reason why Ray was the partner, because Ray was looking out for Stevie. Ray saw himself in Stevie because they come from similar backgrounds. They're not rich people, or they're struggling compared to everybody else, regular everyday folks. And then Ray, he just had this chip on his shoulder because he was just so mad that they was trying to erase what happened to them in 1997. I wouldn't want to remember that I was part of somebody that was trying to kill me and my friends got killed. I would suppress that as much as possible. Okay? I don't want to walk around the town and everybody looking at me, oh, that's the one that went through that thing years ago. Or the people coming through and making it a tourist attraction to come see me. Yeah, this is a survivor and all that stuff. I don't want that. So I was so confused by the motive, that making that the motive. And then him trying to, Stevie wound up, okay, this is the part. They was on the boat. And when Stevie reveals herself, of course, she gets into it with Danica and Ava. She wound up hooking Danica in the gut, right? And then she went overboard. Ray wound up coming on the boat and wound up shooting Stevie because we found out Stevie's still alive. She goes over the boat, right? Then we get to back to Ray's bar, right? Ava realizes that it's Ray because when they were in the Bayside store and she got attacked, when she was fighting back, she had sliced the person's arm, okay? And Ray had a bandage on the arm right in the same spot. So she trying to get out, and he was like, you know what? Stevie said we should keep you alive because you was one of the main ones that wanted to go and do the right thing. But at this point in time, I think I got to take your ass out. And so the news had came out that Stevie was the one that was doing all the killings. Julie had got the news. She looked at it on the the laptop and everything. And then all of a sudden she saw that she used to work with Ray. And she put two and two together. How did she come to the conclusion that Ray was part of this? I had no idea. That part baffled me too. They didn't really explain the connection like that. Like, I get it, but how did she instantly go ahead and, you know what I'm saying? How did she instantly get to the point that, oh yeah, Ray definitely has something to do with this? I don't know. Okay, they didn't tell us that. They didn't give us that connection. And so she just so happened to pop up when Ava was getting attacked before she got killed or whatever by Ray. They had a little back and forth, and she was telling him, bitch, you gotta move the fuck on. But he was finna take her ass out too. I said, damn, you used to love this lady, and now you finna take her out. But thank goodness Ava speared him, right through the chest, right here, took him out. Danica washed up on the beach, and she was still alive. Took her to the hospital. Mind you, Danica got hooked right here, in the goddamn stomach, right there. Her and Ava got stabbed in the back by Ray. They're walking out the hospital, not in wheelchairs. They're walking out of the hospital. They look like they've been through some shit. But they're walking out of the hospital like they just had a little bump in the bruise. Bitch, you got hooked in your stomach. Shouldn't you still be in a hospital bed? I'm pretty sure you probably got staples or something like that, and you were in the water for a minute. Shouldn't you be in a hospital bed? How are you just walking around so freely like that? Like, and then, and what part didn't make sense was when they went to go get something to eat, and Danica was sitting there with her leg up. You know how when you just sit up there with one leg up and you bent over, you got hooked in the stomach by a big ass hook, and you just, like, ain't nothing happened. Oh, Lord have mercy. Who did this movie? Who put this shit together? I'm sitting here watching it like, what? This don't make sense. That's when we realized that Stevie's still alive. Then, the credits come up, and then like a few seconds after the credits come up, we get an extra scene. The whole time I was saying, y'all can keep this movie if we don't see Carla. Y'all kind of could have kept this movie because Carla should have been in the movie, and I feel like if Carla was throughout the movie, it probably would have been a little bit better. But all right, that's neither here nor me. That's my honest opinion. But when we saw Brandy pop up at the end, and she was looking at the news about the whole killings that happened in Southport, and then to find out that Ray was the one that did it, and that he tried to attack Julie. And if you saw, oh my God, what was the show on Prime that Aldous Hodge was in? Alex Cross, his friend, the detective that was his friend, he played Carla's boyfriend or husband or whatever, and he was giving her some wine, and it was like, "Ain't that your roommate from college?" And she was like, "Yeah." You know what? People are always trying to kill that lady. I don't know why, but that shit was so fucking funny to me because she was like, "You know how we are, bitches, always getting into some shit." Okay, always getting into some shit from day one. Always getting, and I said, oh shit, it reminded me of that scene again in Scary Movie when Brenda and them was trying to hide from the skeleton. Scary Movie too, when they was in the house. They was trying to hide from the skeleton, and then Sydney, she was up there, running down the thing, and she was like, Brenda, she said, "No, bitch, don't bring that shit over here." Okay, that's how I felt in this moment, and that's what it was giving when all of a sudden the doorbell rang, and then Julie popped up. And I was like, God damn, Carla, you were safe for a second. But then come to find out she not, because somebody sent Julie a picture of her and Carla, and they had Carla face X'd out. And then on the back of it, it says, "It ain't over." Bitch, what? It ain't over. Ooh, like, how do I feel about this? I know what you did last summer. On the one hand, I feel like if this was all that they could give us, they kind of could have kept it. It was all right. It was all right. It wasn't that great, but it wasn't that bad. I can watch it a couple of times. It was a little annoying. A lot of the plot shit did make sense. There was some holes, a couple of holes, like I already mentioned, that was just so obvious that I just couldn't get with. We needed some more explanation. At least we knew exactly why. And I Know What You Did Last Summer 1 and 2, why a person hated another person and why a person felt a way about this and all of this stuff. In this one, there are missing plots, missing holes in it. Like we went from A to goddamn Z, and we don't know, we didn't skip everything in between. We went from the beginning to the end, and I was so confused for a couple of minutes. But I think they're going to do another one. And given how that ended, if they do another one, Carla better be prominent up in that bitch. Not just at no end. No. And she better not die first. That's all I gotta say. But it was decent. It wasn't as good as I thought it was gonna be. But then again, I didn't really have that much high hopes because you came back too late. You came back 27 years to do a third installment, but it was cool for what it was. It wasn't that great. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'll give it probably like a 6.5. That's it. But you guys tell me how you felt about it if you have seen that. If you did it and you just listening, I hope I didn't spoil anything. I mean, why you... It's cute. It's cute. But yeah, you guys tell me how y'all feel. Make sure you enjoy your weekend, and I will see you guys later. Peace.